Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions.
And a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's very heavily military.
Yeah.
They have, I think, four Air Force bases there, Kelly and the three other ones. So it's a very, very good place to raise kids, and they're doing very well. Quite fun. Dallas and Houston, amazingly strong. Austin is just terrific. Incidentally, Austin, I scoured that city looking for homeless, and I walked all the streets in literally all the streets in downtown Austin. Never saw homeless, and there's a lot for Austin.
Yeah, they've cleaned it up quite a bit, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Texas, as you can tell.
Yeah,
So the next chapter is on the South Atlantic states, and the South is rising again, you indicate in your book?
and it is.
It's
It
exciting.
is. They are, among all things, non-union,
Yeah.
and that has allowed them to continue to grow. About 10 years ago, Boeing moved to South Carolina, manufactured their 757,
Yeah.
10,000 jobs picked up in Seattle and went to South Carolina.
Yeah.
And
Alabama, I'm hearing amazing things about.
their problem is their education level is so low, they really can't attract firms that require a great deal of skill.
Okay.
Same with Louisiana. But North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, they have their act together.
Yeah.
And their education, I mean, North Carolina, you and you have two or three other major universities of North Carolina. They are really on a roll in terms of higher education.
Yeah.
Wake Forest. And so all of that is they're bringing in the jobs. The largest industrial park in the United States is in North Carolina.
Wow.
And it was started back in the 1980s. And it's really, when you see aerial photos of it, it's really fairly amazing what they've done. And then South Carolina, which doesn't get much attention, has become a mecca for automotive manufacturing. Parts, a lot of parts. They're doing very well. And then Georgia has so many great headquarter firms. Obviously, Home Depot,
Right.
and many others. They are really a powerhouse. They have, I think, some of the top 3 airports in the nation. Pretty sure that they're compete against Dallas and Chicago, but they're right up there.
Yeah, I had heard that Atlanta's airport is one of the busiest in the world.
Yeah, it's huge,
Yeah.
and it worked.
So
And
yeah.
people there work, and they really put out the goods. And the result of that is their economy is just doing terrific,
Yeah. They seem to
and,
be.
and their home prices are reasonable,
Yeah.
rational.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And then there's Florida. I like to pick on Florida. I don't know why anybody wants to live there. The humidity,
Yeah.
the floods, the hurricanes, but it keeps on growing
Mhm.
um, because everybody in New York who retires moves to Florida,
A lot of them.
and the homes are cheap down there.
Mhm.
Admittedly, if you want to live near the ocean, the home prices there. I If you look in the New York Times Sunday magazine,
Mhm.
you'll see ads for these spectacular high-rise luxury projects on the ocean with units selling for 5, 6, 7 million, and they sell them.
Yeah.
And I like to tell the story of if you are wealthy and you want a second home, if you're from the Far East, the odds are you're going to be drawn to San Diego.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're from Europe or the Mid East, you go to Florida.
Yeah.
And they have been able to continue to grow. They have also built, by the way, a very good university system.
Mhm.
20 years ago, it was dismal,
Yeah.
but University of Florida, well, the University of Central Florida,
South
they're
Florida.
doing, yeah, they're doing very, very well. And their labor is cheap.
Mhm.
So they're getting the kind of jobs require cheap labor.
Yeah.
However, their education level in the sciences is not such. Scripps Research wanted to open, they did open a major branch in Florida,
Mhm.
and it has not done well.
Hmm.
They don't have enough people with scientific backgrounds to feed the kind of industry that we here in California take for granted.
Yeah.
So the state really survives on growth.
Yeah.
That's their number one industry.
Yeah. Well,
And
the Tampa area where I was selling new homes was perennially in the top 4 in job growth nationwide every year. I mean, it was, if not
yeah,
one, we're in the top 4.
no, they put out a lot of good housing.
Mhm.
And, if you can tolerate the climate, it's not a bad place to be.
Yeah. Well, it's there. People talk about the humidity and the heat and all that. I played a round of golf in as hot as it gets. I mean, as hot as it gets in the heat in the hot season, and I didn't have any pain. For the first time in 20 years, I played a round of golf and my back didn't hurt. So there are advantages, and I mean my joints felt oily, the whole thing. There are advantages to that heat and humidity that some people don't quite grasp, but if you go out there and you play, a sport that you've played all your life, and in the last 20 years it hurt to play it in California, and you go out there and you don't feel any pain, that's a real attraction.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's a real
I had
attraction.
not heard, I'd never heard that.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I've mentioned it to a few people and they actually agreed with me. There's a lot of people that go out there and they feel better exercising. They feel better moving around when they're older like me because, you've got all this scar tissue and arthritis and all this other stuff. And for some people, your body just feels better in that humidity. It's not it's not ideal, I mean, it's not the best thing,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it does help. So
Yeah.
you
So
can
the
be
other
more
thing that,
active. A lot of people I've
yeah.
talked to are more active out there than they are here. So
Hmm.
yeah,
No, the other thing that's really uh, helped Florida sell very high-priced condominiums is that Florida is an 8-hour nonstop from Brazil.
yeah,
And there are many high-rise luxury projects in Miami where everyone there is Brazilian.
Mhm.
And when you go out, when you shop looking for condos up and down the coast, you'll see that a large percentage of the salespeople are Brazilian. So it's an interesting place, and it'll keep on growing, but without me.
I got you. Okay. So the next chapter is about climate change.
Yeah. I have two good friends who are immersed in the study of climate, and they basically caused me to write that chapter. I did not have that chapter in my book.
Really?
And I started doing research and I realized what a disaster the climate is and what's happened even in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
When you look at, for instance, the Midwest, the number of tornadoes has just been remarkable.
Yeah.
And then the flooding, I mean, Louisiana has been completely wiped out. And the west coast of Florida, last big one a couple of years ago, pretty much did in a lot of the condos there.
Mm-hmm. Fort
So,
Myers area, that kind of thing. Yeah. That was
yeah,
did a lot of damage.
yeah. And then Canada, which we don't think of in terms of fires and floods and the like, this last year, it's just been a horror story.
Mhm.
Canadians. So the climate change is real,
Yeah.
and we're not doing a lot to offset it. You know, we have some solar roofs, and that's nice. But solar roofs, if you're living in Illinois, you know, there's not you get 6 months a year when the solar doesn't even work.
Right. Because
Okay,
it's overcast, let's be honest.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is, and we have basically done a fairly dismal job of helping the future air quality. Yeah, I think, um, I think percent of electric cars is up to like, when the new car sales is up to like 12%. Uh, something, but it's just not there.
Yeah.
So um, it's really something that the government has to take charge of, and they have not been willing to do that.
Yeah.
They've pretty much ignored climate change, and that has to change. It's just that simple.
Yeah. I agree with that. So the last chapter in your book is the US as a world economic power.
Absolutely. That chapter is the introduction to my next book.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reality is that we really have it all.
Yeah.
No one comes even remotely close to what we offer the world. And not just jobs, but the entire lifestyle of America is obviously very appealing to a lot of folks who'd like to live here and
Yeah.
move here. And it's going to continue. and we will continue to generate employment that is appropriate for educated people. And our growth will not be stable in terms of geography to the extent there will be a number of states, as in the Southeast United States, which will move up the chain. And places like Arizona, New Mexico will gradually move into a manufacturing position where they can put out the goods, and we'll still have amazing universities in this country. I was just in Boston last month. They have 34 universities in Boston. Not the least of which is Harvard.
Right.
Harvard and MIT, but they have numerous. And New York, Chicago, and certainly California have an amazing number of really good universities.
Yeah.
And that is highly appealing.
Absolutely.
And take a school like Stanford. If Stanford wants you and your parents don't earn $100,000 a year, you got a free ride. Complete.
Really? I didn't know that. That's fascinating.
Remarkable. And frankly, the University of California school system is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And it's really cheap. I mean, you can go to San Diego State, very good university. It's $14,000 a year, compared to 80 at Harvard or MIT. So California has really done a great job of creating an educational system that results in the kind of industry that we have.
Yeah.
So the next year and the other states I talk about will almost guarantee that America stays on top of the heap for the next half century.
That's what it sounds like.
One of the only thing we have to do is bring in people to do the work.
Right.
And fortunately, that hasn't been a popular thing to do.
Yeah.
But we have to do it, or my kids are not going to cut lawns or fix hamburgers at McDonald's. That's not going to happen. We have to bring in folks from other countries who will do those kind of jobs. And little by little, it's happening. And the other thing, of course, is when I look at all the things we're creating, a lot of them are automating a lot of the things we do. So that's helping ease somewhat. I'm still not enthralled with artificial intelligence, but that'll be put to good use eventually. So overall, the United States is really in amazingly good condition, and we just have to bring in more people to do the work at the end of the scale, keep our education systems growing, and in a state like California, we got to produce some housing.
Yeah. A lot of housing.
And a lot of housing. And I can tell you that we can do it.
Yeah.
I was part of a group that wrote a paper 2 years ago that shows what happens if a city takes their vacant land and lets builders build it, but don't charge for the land and don't put the fees in, put them into a second tier position, and the people, when they go to sell their home, maybe 10 years down the road, that's when they pay off. And it works.
Yeah.
And you can drop the home prices almost 40% just by doing that. And we have plenty of land.
Yeah.
We really do. It's not a problem.
We just have to use it.
There just has to be some governments that have the guts to do it.
Yeah. Yep, I'd agree with that. Okay. So the name of the book is The Next Half Century, and it is an amazing read. If you don't mind, show us the cover, what it looks like. There you go. Congratulations on your new book. You did an amazing job. I expected that you would, but this book was very, very hard for me to put down. I hung on every word and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I know anybody that's listening will enjoy it too. I know for a fact they will. And then you're working on a new book that's coming out in about a year, a little less than a year, right? And what's it going to be called?
America Tomorrow.
Yeah. So America, the next half century, right?
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So this is a beginning of a series that we're going to be doing with you of podcasts where we're going to be talking about economy, demographics. We're going to be talking about a lot of things, and we're super excited to do that. And thank you in advance for agreeing to do this. I really, really appreciate you, and I appreciate our friendship more than you know. So
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Alan. And congratulations again on your book. And thank you for joining us on the Mike Litton Experience.
My pleasure.
I appreciate
Thanks,
you.
Mike.
Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.